My name is Emily Carter. I'm 36, and until recently, I was the senior product strategy lead at Brightpoint Marketing, a bustling ad agency in the heart of Boston. I've always been the quiet type, the one who believes that results speak louder than words. Let your work shine, and the rest will follow. That was my mantra. Unfortunately, that very quality, that unassuming dedication, made me the perfect mark for someone like Vanessa Green. Vanessa, she was my colleague, part of the same strategy team, though you'd never know it from her meticulously curated designer outfits and her uncanny ability to, accidentally, be in the right place at the right time to snatch credit without lifting a finger. That particular fall, I was on fire. I'd been covertly developing a revolutionary marketing strategy for a major new client in the biotech sector. It was my baby, a concept I'd poured countless hours into, a beacon I was sure would redefine our agency's approach. I called it life circle repositioning. It was an ambitious plan, integrating cutting-edge AI for behavioral analysis with a strategy to reposition the client's brand based on the cyclical emotional journeys of their target consumers. Nights blurred into days. My apartment became a landscape of scattered notes, whiteboard diagrams stretching across walls, and the low hum of my laptop processing data. I meticulously crafted mind maps, compiled an exhaustive 78-page report detailing every facet of the strategy, and built a dynamic presentation model. Everything, every graph, every projection, every carefully chosen word, was saved in my personal folder on the company's internal server. Secure, I thought. Safe. But I was too trusting. Far too trusting. The quarterly strategy meeting. The air in the boardroom was thick with anticipation. The CEO, Mr. Harrison, was there, flanked by the expectant faces of our biotech client representatives. This was it, my moment. I'd rehearsed my presentation, visualized success, felt the familiar thrum of nervous excitement. Then Vanessa started her presentation. My blood ran cold. It wasn't just similar. It was mine. The name, Life Circle Repositioning, splashed across the giant screen in her chosen font. But with my core concept, the structure, the unique selling propositions, even some of the key visual elements I'd designed, all replicated with chilling accuracy. I sat there, paralyzed, a silent scream trapped in my throat. How? No one in that room, apart from me, knew the intimate details of that strategy. No one knew the sleepless nights, the intellectual heavy lifting, the sheer passion I'd poured into it. Vanessa, on the other hand, was radiant. She stood at the podium, exuding a practiced confidence, her voice smooth and persuasive as she highlighted each strength of her groundbreaking idea. She navigated the slides with an air of effortless brilliance, a maestro conducting an orchestra she hadn't composed. When she finished, a wave of impressed murmurs filled the room. Mr. Harrison turned to her, his face alight with admiration. "Vanessa," he boomed, his voice echoing slightly in the hushed room. "This is, without a doubt, the most outstanding strategic proposal I've seen in years. You will lead this project. And I want you to seriously start thinking about the role of Associate Creative Director. It's time we recognized your talent more formally." And me? What about Emily Carter? In the ensuing accolades for Vanessa, I became invisible. Later that day, an email landed in my inbox. I was being pulled from the biotech account. The official reason cited was a need for fresh perspectives. But the unspoken message was clear: I was deemed lacking in contribution. A non-entity on the project I had birthed. The sterile white tiles of the company restroom were cold against my burning cheeks. The sobs came then, raw and unrestrained, tearing through me with a violence that surprised even myself. It wasn't just the stolen project, the missed promotion, or the public humiliation. It was the profound, gut-wrenching agony of betrayal. Pure, unadulterated betrayal. Vanessa, I had helped her when she first joined Brightpoint, fresh out of a business program with more style than substance. I was the one who patiently walked her through our internal processes. I shared my templates for campaign planning, spent hours helping her polish her often flawed presentation slides, even covered for her on numerous occasions when she'd conveniently disappear for urgent personal appointments that usually coincided with spa discounts. I'd offered kindness, mentorship, a helping hand, and this was my reward. I'd forgotten a crucial life lesson. One my grandmother used to repeat: not everyone you extend a hand to possesses the grace to be grateful. Some will simply see it as an opportunity to climb higher by stepping on yours. The fallout was swift and brutal. Whispers followed me down hallways. Sympathetic glances mixed with poorly concealed smirks. The narrative had been set. Emily Carter was obsolete, resistant to innovation, dead weight. Within a week, I was officially reassigned. No more high-stakes client strategies. No more creative brainstorming. My new role? Data processing, sifting through raw, unglamorous numbers in a forgotten corner of the office, far from the strategic heart of the company. Each morning, the walk into Brightpoint Marketing felt like a descent into my own personal hell. The vibrant, collaborative atmosphere I once thrived in now felt suffocating. Judgmental. Vanessa, meanwhile, was soaring. She was the agency's new golden girl, her laughter echoing from conference rooms where my ideas were being lauded as hers. But beneath the despair, a different emotion began to stir. A cold, hard ember of resolve. They could take my project, my reputation, even my dignity for a time. But I swore to myself, in the quiet desolation of my new, sterile cubicle, that I would reclaim everything I had lost. And it wouldn't just be about the job. This was about justice. This was about proving that quiet diligence could, and would, outmaneuver deceitful ambition. The initial shock gave way to a steely determination. My plan began to form, not in a blaze of fury, but in the quiet, methodical way I approached everything. Silently, meticulously. My first move was digital forensics. Albeit amateur, I knew the company's server protocols. I began the painstaking process of recovering the original draft versions of my life circle repositioning strategy from the system's archival storage. Every file had a timestamp, a digital fingerprint irrefutably proving the timeline of its creation and every subsequent modification. This was crucial. Next, I delved into my communication records, emails where I'd bounced early-stage thoughts off Vanessa, thinking I was fostering team collaboration. Internal chat logs where I'd shared snippets of my research, and she'd asked seemingly innocent, probing questions. I cross-referenced these with server access logs. It painted a damning picture, a clear pattern of her accessing my specific project folder repeatedly in the days leading up to her brilliant presentation. The borrowed notes, the inspired concepts, they all had a digital trail leading straight back to my work. I then discreetly approached a trusted contact in the IT department. Mark, a quiet guy who'd always been fair, under the guise of needing help with a corrupted file recovery. I asked him to verify the metadata on Vanessa's presentation file and compare it to my original documents. The creation dates, author tags, and modification histories were a smoking gun. He raised an eyebrow but simply said, "Interesting. Let me know if you need an official report on these file properties." Emily. I knew I had an ally. While this evidence collection was underway, I didn't just wallow or wait. I invested in myself. I enrolled in online courses, sharpening my project management skills, diving deep into intellectual property law, and studying corporate ethics and the legal regulations surrounding creative ownership in the advertising industry. If I was going to make a move, it had to be more than just an accusation, it had to be an airtight case. Presented with unshakable professionalism, a counter-offensive, I knew, was only as potent as its preparation. There would be no room for error. This wasn't just about getting my job back, it was about systemic change. Vanessa, meanwhile, was riding high, but I could see the cracks beginning to form. Leading a project you didn't truly understand is like trying to navigate a minefield blindfolded. The life circle repositioning strategy was complex, nuanced. It required a deep understanding of the AI integration and the psychological triggers it targeted. These weren't things you could glean from a stolen PowerPoint. 2 months. 2 agonizing, yet fiercely productive, months passed. The biotech client was scheduled for a major progress review. This was Vanessa's show to run. Her chance to further solidify her meteoric rise. I was, of course, not invited, relegated to my data processing tasks. But I knew the project. And I knew its potential pitfalls if mishandled. Reports from the project team. filtered through hushed conversations and concerned glances, indicated that Vanessa was struggling. The AI component wasn't yielding the precise analytical data predicted in my original proposal. Certain segments of the behavioral model weren't functioning as intended. She was good at presenting, at selling a vision, but execution? That was a different beast entirely. The day of the review arrived. I wasn't in the main conference room, but through Mark in IT, I had a way of knowing what was happening. As predicted, Vanessa's presentation, while slick, began to unravel under the client's pointed questions. They were sharp. These biotech people, they understood data, they understood authenticity. Then came the moment. The senior client representative, a no-nonsense woman named Dr. Albright, leaned forward, her gaze unwavering. "Ms. Green," she said, her voice calm but firm, cutting through Vanessa's increasingly flustered explanations. "This is all very presented. But we have some specific technical questions about the foundational logic of the AI integration. We'd like to speak with the person who actually developed this core strategy. Not just the person presenting it." Silence. A heavy, uncomfortable silence filled the room. Vanessa stammered, her usual composure deserting her. She fumbled for words, trying to deflect, to reassure, but the damage was done. The clients weren't just looking for a spokesperson, they were looking for the architect. That was my cue. I had anticipated this. I wasn't officially on the project, but I was still an employee. I walked into that conference room, not with anger, not with accusation, but with quiet confidence. In my hand, I held a simple USB drive. "Perhaps I can shed some light on that." "Dr. Albright," I said, my voice steady. All eyes turned to me. Surprise, confusion, and from Vanessa, a look of pure, unadulterated panic. Mr. Harrison looked like he'd seen a ghost. Without waiting for permission, I walked to the podium, inserted my USB, and with a few clicks, brought up my original files. I didn't just present the strategy, I presented its genesis. The dated drafts, the version histories, the email exchanges predating Vanessa's involvement, the server logs showing unauthorized access to my directory. I then seamlessly transitioned into the advanced simulation models and innovative improvement metrics that Vanessa had never even known existed because she had only skimmed the surface of my work. I laid out the entire roadmap, the evidence of my authorship undeniable, woven into a presentation of the strategy's true potential. No one spoke. No one needed to. The truth, stark and irrefutable, hung in the air. Mr. Harrison's gaze shifted from me to Vanessa, his expression hardening from shock to a dawning, cold anger. Vanessa's face was a mask of horrified realization, her complexion shifting to a sickly, pale green. The clients, however, looked intrigued, then impressed. They finally saw the depth they had been missing. The very next morning, I was summoned to Mr. Harrison's office. The atmosphere was tense, but I felt a calm I hadn't experienced in months. He gestured for me to sit. "Emily," he began, his voice subdued, "we clearly have a serious situation here." I didn't offer apologies or excuses for my dramatic reappearance. I didn't need to. I simply stated my truth. "Mr. Harrison," I said, meeting his gaze directly, "I don't need to be recognized because I can shout the loudest. I need fairness. I need the truth to matter. And the truth is, life circle repositioning is my work. From concept to its deepest technical frameworks." The outcome was decisive. Vanessa was immediately removed from the biotech project and, in a move that sent ripples through the agency, transferred to a technical support role in a department so obscure most people didn't know it existed. It was a precipitous fall from grace. A few weeks later, her resignation letter quietly appeared on Mr. Harrison's desk. She couldn't face the daily reality of her actions being known. As for me, I wasn't just reinstated to my former position. I was appointed director of the newly formed Strategic Innovation Department. Mr. Harrison gave me carte blanche to select my own team, to build a division dedicated to fostering and protecting true innovation. The biotech client, needless to say, was thrilled to have the original architect back at the helm. And the project, under my actual guidance, quickly got back on track, exceeding all initial projections. But my reclamation didn't stop there. The experience had burned a lesson into me. Good ideas are vulnerable. So, My first major initiative as director was to propose and implement a company-wide program I called Idea Guard. It was a system designed to help employees formally register their unique concepts and strategic developments, complete with time-stamped evidence of ownership. From the moment of inception, it created a clear, transparent process for intellectual property within the agency. No one at Brightpoint would ever have to endure what I went through. No one deserved to have their intellectual labor stolen and their voice silenced again. My revenge wasn't about public shaming or tearing someone down with the same viciousness I had experienced. That would have been too easy. Too much like Vanessa's own tactics. No, my revenge was far more satisfying. It was success. It was about rebuilding what was broken. Not just for myself, but for others. It was about cultivating an environment where integrity and hard work were genuinely valued and protected. A place where people like the old me, quiet, dedicated, and perhaps a little too trusting, could thrive without fear of their contributions being usurped. I learned some invaluable, albeit painful, lessons through this ordeal. Firstly, not everyone you help will appreciate it, or even acknowledge it, and that's okay. Their lack of gratitude is a reflection on them, not on your willingness to be kind. But it's a reminder to be discerning. Secondly, meticulously documenting your work and safeguarding your intellectual property isn't paranoia, it's prudence. In a competitive world, it's simply smart practice to protect what you create. Trust, but verify, and always keep your receipts. Both literal and metaphorical. And perhaps the most important lesson of all, when someone tries to steal your light, when they try to dim your accomplishments and push you into the shadows, don't just fight to get your light back. Instead, become the one who generates the damn sun. Create your own brilliance, so powerful and undeniable that no one can ever truly extinguish it. That's the kind of power that can't be stolen. That's the kind of success that truly endures. This is Revenger Ruby. If you enjoyed this story of calculated payback, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. You won't want to miss the next tale of sweet, sweet revenge.